What is up, everybody? Ninja Nick 333. We're back with another regional championship. This time it is Orlando. I did happen to compete in this one. Unfortunately, did a really poor 4-4 finish because I hit 3 Lost Box decks that all instantaneously drew out of all of their judges and bumped my paths every single time I put them down. So that was unfortunate. My friend Chris played the same 60 and he ended up 256th. Looks like we have some sort of water-based deck on the left with the Galarian Zapdos V. And then we have the Duraludon, or maybe Goodra, on the right. I do see a Metal Energy. They're both playing Chorus's Experiment. They could both just be Lost Zone decks. So it's possible maybe on the left it's a Kyogre deck. Looks like Arceus on the left, and then yeah, Lost Zone on the right. So we're gonna see what kind of Lost Box this is from Grafton. I see Psychics, I see Fighting. That's a Raikou, so it looks like it's probably the Rayquaza Amazing Rare deck. Don't quite see it right now. Although the fact that there was a Hyper Potion might make it seem like it might be Goodra or potentially Duraludon with the Radiant Eternatus. We'll have to see. Decks are a little bit odder now that the Radiant Eternatus is a thing. Unfortunately, that card is booty butt cheeks, to say the least. The card ends your turn when you play it. So, yeah. If we all remember Mega Evolution Pokemon, they were not good in any capacity until Spirit Links came out, because the Spirit Link would allow you to not end your turn evolving into it. But otherwise, we do see that it is just some sort of standard Lost Box list on the right here. Very curious to see what kind of build of Arceus we do have on the left. With all the water energy I see, it's entirely possible that it could be even Inteleon. I think Arceus Intel is pretty bad these days. It was good for a while, but there's just too many decks that can one-shot it now, and the strength of Arceus Intel is just being able to pick up your dudes, recycling a bunch of Sharon's Cares with things like Palpad, and being able to always get them with the Drizziles and the Inteleons. Andrew on the left is taking notes. That's a good thing to keep track of. 2 in the Lost Zone already for Grafton, and that's it, just a pass. Not a super strong start from Lost Box, but at least a couple of cards in the Lost Zone. You don't want to pass your turn with Lost Box without putting a single card in the Lost Zone. Now with those 2 Comfies in play, it's possible to at least get up to the 4 in the Lost Zone in order to attack with the Cramorant. You do want to potentially get up to 7. Every Lost Box deck I happened to play on that weekend ended up being able to get to 7 turn 1, going second every single game. So that was fun. Just, first world problems. So we do see a Pokegear from the Arceus deck. I'm very curious to see. Maybe this is Arceus Goodra, since there are those water energies. Although it almost looks like there was a Duraludon in his hand. I can't really quite tell. Yeah, there is a Duraludon in his hand. So I'm not sure why there's water energies in that deck if it's Duraludon. Yeah, both of these deck lists seem to be not of the norm, but that's more likely to happen than the early rounds when you can just get easy wins off of, more scrubby players. Contemplating the Ultra Ball, gonna get rid of Switch and Parasol, it looks like. Most likely not gonna need that Parasol. We already see one Sableye in the Lost Zone. And that's really the only thing that it's good for. Gonna get out the basic Duraludon. Yeah, it looks like just a Duraludon deck. I could have sworn there was a bunch of water energies in his prize cards. Yeah, there were 3 water energies on all of the left prize cards. A wash energy on the bottom left, and then the other 2 left were both basic water. So I'm very confused as to what Andrew's even on. So hopefully there's the double turbo energy so Arceus can do its standard turn 2 attack with the Trinity Charge, putting a bunch of energies on that Duraludon V, and we do see that. So that's pretty much all that Andrew really wants to see on his first turn. Gets the 1 fighting and the 2 metal, which is what Duraludon VMAX needs in order to attack. Again, unfortunately, since this Lost Zone deck is not super special energy reliant, the Duraludon is not really the best attacker in the matchup, but that's what you have to go for. Oh, it looks like there's a Crabominable V in the deck for Andrew for some reason. I have no idea what the Crabominable V is for. I know Ian Robb was playing it as well. I know it's really good against Mewtwo V Union, but like, what else is it good against? I couldn't tell you. So we do see Quick Ball getting rid of the brand new art of the Manaphy that is full art. I do like the new art on the Manaphy, but the whole weekend I was a little confused seeing my opponent's cards. I'm like, wait, what is that card? Because I was not very well educated on the new arts of cards. I'm like, oh, okay, that's that card. Looks like the new Roxanne is in the Lost Zone as well. A lot of people have a lot of these new Crown Zenith cards. I'm surprised. They're really, all there is in Crown Zenith that's even playable is the Sky Seal Stone. That's the only card to even pick up from the set. But everybody just loves those new arts. I'm fine playing my old ones. So we see the standard using multiple Comfeys. Looks like we're going to get up to the 7 cards in the Lost Zone turn 1 for Grafton. It's entirely possible. We did see the Quick Ball for the Cramorant, so that option is there to attack with. That's a pretty good attack on the Duraludon. It's going to do almost half. I believe Duraludon always reduces 30 when you hit into it. But just getting a good chunk of damage on the Duraludon is good. Grafton can potentially Mirage Gate into a bigger attacker, but with Andrew's bench so small, Raikou V is not going to be a very good attacker. We did see that in Grafton's deck. Looks like we're also going to do the Monkey to switch a card from the hand with the top card of the deck. Grafton now knows what that top card is. If it's something like Chorus's Experiment, that's really good to put on top, because if Andrew is able to play a Marnie, that conserves that supporter for the next turn, and it makes sure that it does not go to the bottom of the deck. Also, the Escape Rope is super relevant because the Arceus is now no longer active, so it can't do something like charge up a second Duraludon VMAX this turn. We also do see that Marnie, so having the Monkey there to be able to keep that card on the top of the deck is real perfect. It looks like it was some sort of supporter that Grafton put on top, but I can't really tell what it was. Hands held too close. Might be a Marnie of his own. Much preferred to be a Chorus's Experiment, though. Yeah, so we do see that the Cramorant only did 80 instead of 110. That could be very relevant if Andrew has something along the lines of the what's it called? The stadium that that heals 30 from all your metal and dragon Pokemon. I don't really quite remember the name of that. But it looks like we're not going to see any healing yet from the Duraludon. We're just going to knock out that Cramorant. We are going to go take the first prize of the tournament. I do like that Grafton is making sure to mark which abilities have been used. I ended up making my own ability markers recently, using a little bingo chips. Some nice Ninja Nick branded ones. Unfortunately, it's not easy to like mass produce them. I know old regionals during the GX era would give you GX markers when you enter the tournaments. So I tried to do something like that with the poker chips, but those are expensive unless you buy in like extreme bulk. So it was not worth it. I ended up buying bingo chips and just sticker paper. And I can make a small amount of them for my locals. Poison burn markers too, with my face on them is really funny too. Almost puts the air balloon in hand. That would have been bad. You have to discard all cards attached to the Pokemon when you pick it up with the scoop up net. I do still have plenty of V-Star markers, though. Those are just business cards. So, if anybody sees me in Knoxville, you can pick up a Ninja Nick V-Star marker. I do have to say, they did come out very well. I was surprised at the quality. Looks like we're seeing yet another capture energy come down onto a Comfey. Being able to retreat it easily, since Comfey has a 1 retreat cost. We are going to see another Pokemon get searched out, likely whatever Grafton wants to attack with this turn. He's not really doing too much damage to this Duraludon VMAX. So I'm a little curious to see what he's going to go for. He may have enough in the Lost Zone, I believe, in order to go with the Sableye. Maybe he wants to start sniping things that are on the bench. It would be pretty cool if he can bring that Duraludon V that's unevolved and has no energy on it to the active, and then just start smacking down damage counters on the VMAX as it's on the bench. So something like, I guess not an escape rope, because I would put Arceus up active, but maybe like a boss's orders would be good. Believe he likely used his supporter for turn already, though. Oh, here it is. It was the Raihan that he put on the top of his deck. I recognize that card. So that is the new Crown Zenith art. That's why I couldn't tell what it was earlier. So much like the Marnie that came out in the boxes before, they do have more signature cards. So it has Raihan's signature on it. I don't know how they have a signature for a fictional character, but they did it. So that does get that Psychic Energy onto the Sableye, and we'll search the deck for any one singular card for Grafton. Not quite sure what I would want in this situation. Looks like a Mirage Gate maybe is what was searched out. Oh, we do have a Snorlax in hand as well. So maybe Grafton's plan is to stack some damage counters on the active with Sableye, and then next turn attack with the Snorlax to try to finish it off. But if Andrew has any sort of healing card, that might put a pin in those plans. Yeah, so Grafton's definitely using a Lost Mine, just deciding where all those damage counters are going to go. So you'll want to leave the Duraludon with 180 remaining HP, and then just put the rest on the other Duraludon, potentially, or just soften up the Arceus. Either way is really fine. 612. So that's 150. Yeah, so that should be 180 remaining on the Duraludon. So I do see the line from Grafton is definitely going to be that Snorlax next turn. So Andrew's really going to need a way to heal that 120 off of the Duraludon VMAX. So we're going to see if we get there. Do see the Pokegear. We have the Chorus's Experiment to dig 5 cards deeper. Oh, and we haven't even seen Starbirth yet, so it's pretty obvious that that Hyper Potion is coming in now. We could even see, if he doesn't have it already, a double Turbo as well, just so that you don't lose any energy on the Duraludon. You could attach double Turbo and then max Hyper Potion, discard the double Turbo because that's the 2 energy you need to discard with it, and then heal 120. And then Grafton is unable to take a knockout on the next turn. Yep, so there it is, double Turbo, Hyper Potion. Exactly what you wanted. Duraludon is a pretty linear deck. You have 120 damage on your dude, you heal 120 damage. You have less than that, put your Stadium in play. We are going to see the Marnie as well. That's pretty good. That's going to limit Grafton's options going into the next turn. Likely already has the perfect card on top of the deck because of the Marnie. We do know that the Oranguru can just set whatever he wants. So that is why a lot of those Mew decks play Judge instead, because the Genesect will still draw you more cards anyway, so it doesn't matter that you're drawing 1 less card than Marnie would get you. Genesect will draw you up there. However, for something like Duraludon, you want to see the most cards you can, so you have to play into Monkey Man, the Oranguru. I'm going to use the Training Court from his opponent, bringing back a Metal Energy. Then plays the Lost City, so good. Get the use out of your opponent's stadium. And then Lost Zone's the Sableye. So that's 2 Sableyes in the Lost Zone. Grafton isn't going to be able to do that same play with the Sableye again. It's very uncommon for Lost Box decks to be playing more than 2 Sableyes. Sometimes the Charizard versions can play more than 2. But the Charizard version's the worst version of Lost Box. Really, these days you want to be playing Kyogre or Rayquaza. I still don't even think Rayquaza's that good. I think you just want to play Kyogre. Then you even have access to the Dragonite V, and you could do some Sky Seal Stone shenanigans with just that. Looks like we're going to Lost Zone the Raikou V. I think that's definitely correct. I believe that might be a Mirage Gate underneath it as well. But I do believe that Grafton, I think, has 2 Mirage Gates on the bottom of his deck. They were in his hand before. Unless his deck got shuffled. I'm not sure where Grafton goes from here. Yeah, Grafton knows that he can't win, so he's just going to scoop here. Just as I say, I'm not sure where he goes from here, he recognizes there's no way for him to win the game, and he proceeds to scoop it up. So, perfect scoop from Grafton, realizing that there's no way to even get through the first Duraludon, let alone a second one. So might as well just end it there and go on to the next one. You really don't want to be spending too much time in your games, especially when you know you're not going to win. Just scoop up your cards and go to the next game. Save that time for games 2 and 3. If you know you're going to lose, why spend 15 more minutes losing when you could spend that winning game 2 and having time for a game 3? in order to win the whole match instead of just tie it. Getting weird messages on my Discord right now. So Grafton definitely chooses to go first, that's correct. I was seeing Lost Box decks against me choose to go second. I wasn't quite sure why they were doing that. It definitely feels better to go second because then you can use your Colress's experiments, but that's just one more turn that you can whiff cards. So might as well go first and give yourself 2 turns to get into the Colress's experiment instead of just the 1. So we already saw concealed cards. We already saw Monkey Wisdom. We're going to go in with the Scoop Up Net. We can even use the Radiant Greninja's ability a second time now that it was picked back up. Gonna get 1 card in the Lost Zone already. Looks like Capture Energy. Hasn't attached for turn yet, so... And definitely needs another card to discard for the concealed cards, but... It looks like that was able to get an Escape Rope to use the next Comfey, so... Definitely the correct choice from Grafton. A Comfey going into the Lost Zone as well is perfectly fine. You only really ever need 2 Comfeys in rotation. So, Lost Zoning 1 Comfey is usually pretty good. And just a pass from there. That's pretty much all Grafton really needs for a turn 1. Hopefully is all set up, has access to a Colress's experiment for the next turn, can get up to 7 in the Lost Zone and use Mirage Gate. That looks like a pretty whiffy Pokegear there from Andrew. So that's exactly what Grafton needs. He just needs Andrew to brick. It would be even better if that start was a Duraludon than an Arceus, but even if there's just a double turbo energy, you know, you can Trinity Charge to yourself. I would probably do the full 3 energy, and then you have the ability to use your Hyper Potions on your own Arceus, heal off all the damage that the Cramorant does. We do see a second Arceus come down, which is not ideal from Andrew. You usually want to go 1 Arceus, 2 Duraludon VMAXs to essentially maximize the amount of prizes your opponent has to take in order to win the game. They'll go down to 1 prize and still be forced to knock out another 3 prizer. So yeah, something with 280 HP instead of 330, I believe the Duraludon VMAX has. So 50 less HP. And worth 1 less prize card. But the prize card doesn't matter. You have to knock out 3 Pokemon in this matchup if you're Grafton. So we're going to see, we do get the Colress's experiment. We go to 4 in the Lost Zone. There is Ice-Cube. That is the reason I was afraid to play Regis at this tournament, because online all that I was seeing was a whole lot of Ice-Cube. I was even seeing Ice-Cube in Lugia decks. It was kind of ridiculous. Although the reason not to play Regis is because Regis is just not good. It's just not consistent. I love Regis. I think that, like, meta-wise, it's very strong, but, like, it just bricks so much. Seeing yet another Scoop Up Net, we are just gonna keep cycling those Comfeys. I do really like that new Full Art Comfey. It looks really nice. But the original Comfeys were expensive when they came out, so I'm probably not going to be switching anytime soon. If I pull them somehow, I'll play the Full Arts, but I can't win any Crown Zenith and Winna boxes since they don't come in boxes. They only come in like ETBs and weird, you know, Pokemon V collections and other crap like that. We do see Galarian Zapdos is coming down too from Grafton, revealing that. Oh, you know what? When they were showing the prizes game 1, I think they had them flipped. Because Grafton is playing that Zapdos, but they showed it on the left. That's what happened. That's why I was confused. The Water Energy is in Grafton's deck, and that Hyper Potion is in Andrew's deck. That makes so much more sense now. That's just Pokemon screwing up like normal. So we do see the Mirage Gate for that Water Energy that I was talking about earlier, and a Fighting Energy as well. This is going to allow Grafton to take an easy 2-prize knockout on an Arceus immediately. He is going to need one more energy on his... Oh, and there it is. So the attack cost is reduced by 1 due to Zapdos' ability. For each V Pokemon on your opponent's side, there are 2. Reduces the attack cost from 4 to 2. So only needs 2 energies on there in order to attack. Does 170. And times 2 for weakness on that colorless Pokemon is 320. That's more than enough to knock out even the Arceus V-Star. So if I were Andrew, I would just scoop here. But looks like he's going to try. The Ultra Ball is going to have to get, I guess, Duraludon V? Because you can't evolve that Arceus this turn. You have to get out a Duraludon. Yeah, because see, now evolving that, you can't attack with it this turn. And you need to Trinity Charge. And if you want to Trinity Charge now you're going to need to put yet another Arceus V in play, and then your opponent can just take 3 Arceus knockouts with Zapdos. Generally, Lost Zone decks will play Clara. So it's entirely... And Ordinary Rod, even more so. So it will be highly likely that that Zapdos can get recycled. Oh, but we do see Raihan. Okay, that's the play then. That is correct. So we do see the Raihan gets the Metal Energy onto the Arceus, gets the Double Turbo, and is able to Trinity Nova. The only problem is that Andrew did not seem to get the Choice Belt. Duraludon decks should be playing Choice Belt at this point, because that will allow Duraludon to do 250, which is more than enough to knock out a Dragonite V. So you can one-shot Dragonite V with the Duraludon in this exact type of matchup against the Lost Box decks. But also in this exact situation, it allows Arceus to one-shot a Zapdos. So that Zapdos is, again, going to be able to one-shot the Arceus. So really, whether he did damage with the Arceus or not didn't matter, because the Duraludon will come out and one-shot the Zapdos. So you could have just saved the Raihan for the next turn. Although he probably was missing a piece in order to get the combo going. So you had to go into the Arceus V-Star, but it just feels bad when you could have just Trinity Charged and got the same effect, you know? So I don't think Andrew's going to be playing anything that could do any sort of bench damage onto the Galarian Zapdos. Looks like we see an attach return onto a Comfey, so that can retreat easy. Grafton doesn't really have to do too much this turn. If he can, like, Colress's Experiment, just, like, stack more cards in his Lost Zone if he even needs it. Oh, looks like we see a Boss's Orders as well. This is really rough for Andrew now. Because now he's going to get some free, easy damage onto that Duraludon V. I'm not sure if I would do it with the Zapdos, though. I mean, Zapdos is doing a larger number, so that's 140 after the minus 30 reduction. So you can go in next turn, potentially with that Snorlax. Yeah, you know it's going to evolve. and you know your Zapdos is going to go down. The only thing is now that Zapdos isn't there to be able to knock out the Arceus, so you're still going to need something to knock out the Arceus. But again, Grafton likely plays something like Ordinary Rod in order to be able to shuffle that Zapdos in and just do the whole thing again. We do see a hard retreat of that Duraludon. And that is what I would call rough. Yeah, so the Arceus is now able to two-shot this Zapdos. So now definitely making it so that the Arceus V-Star was the play. Now it can two-shot that thing. And we are going to recharge up the Duraludon. So now Grafton's going to want to be able to get that Ordinary Rod to be able to get the Zapdos back and put it back into play this turn. Either that or another boss's orders along with the Mirage Gate Snorlax. That would be pretty good too. That would be the ideal way to do it. Again, marking what cards you have used for the turn. Perfect play from Grafton. If you're not doing that at this point in the game, you should be. There are so many mistakes I've seen people make from not marking what cards have been used already. You should just do it. You can, like, tap your cards, but that just makes the board state a lot messier. And just putting something like a coin, even, on your cards just makes it so much better. You can even do it, like, say you attack with your Mew VMAX and you're not able to attack next turn because of Technoblast. You can just put a coin on your Mew to say, oh, this can't attack next turn. So you don't accidentally attack with the same card twice in a row and then forfeit your attack for the turn because you stupidly forgot to retreat. We're going to see the Pokegear fail from Grafton. We do have the energy on that Comfey, so it can retreat. We're going to use the Comfey. Select those flowers. Probably get rid of the Heavy Ball. I don't think you need that. You already took 2 prize cards. Unless there's something super important that you prized. But at this point, you should know your prizes. You've had a couple deck searches. Oh, gonna get rid of the escape rope. So the escape rope would have been a really great way to get that Arceus V-Star active. And then fails the Heavy Ball. So yeah, 100% would have put the Heavy Ball in my Lost Zone instead. Yeah, I definitely feel like that was a misplay there. Yeah, Quick Ball, Mirage Gate, Psychic Energy, Roxanne for the prize cards right now. Looks like we are going to go for the Ordinary Rod right now. Shuffle back in the Zapdos into Energy. You can Mirage Gate to the Zapdos if you can Quick Ball for it. Oh, and here comes the Crabominable. Okay, so that's what it's for. It's for Duraludon VMAX. Okay. I mean, I guess. I wouldn't consider Duraludon VMAX to be enough of a threat to tech against it. With any deck, really. But, you know. If it works, it works. Yeah, so it does, just came up on the screen here behind me. Does 90 plus 60 for each damage counter on your opponent's active. So that is enough to finish off the Duraludon VMAX. That'll put Grafton into 1 prize card, and then he'll just need to be able to essentially do that same play again, but instead of the Crabominable, it'll have to be with the Zapdos again instead. So a little weird that this is a Lost Box deck, but he's almost exclusively in this game attacked with 2 prize Pokemon. Lost Box is generally known as a deck that does better because it's using the 1 prize Pokemon. Yeah, and if you're Andrew here, like, why are you still playing? Scoop and go to the next game. Save some time. Grafton's at 1 prize card, just has to knock out anything that you put in play. And you already have an Arceus. You know he has access to that Zapdos again. Just go on to the next game. Save some time. Give yourself the time in Game 3 in order to win the match. Especially since you can't one-shot this Crabominable either, I don't believe. How much HP does it? It looks like it says 200 something, but I can't really quite tell. I mean, if he can knock it out, then maybe there's merit to continuing to play, but... Oh. He's gonna do 160 now, so he definitely did not have the knockout. Because if you had the knockout, you would not attach a second double turbo there. So yeah, Crabominable must have 190 HP or more. Yeah, so Andrew's definitely already lost this game. Since he's not going to be able to one-shot the Crabominable, and Grafton will be able to get the Zapdos on the next turn, most likely, either way. So we see draw. We have, I think, 2 Colress Experiments in hand, which is kind of disgusting. There is the Zapdos, along with energy cards and Mirage Gate, so... yeah. You don't even necessarily need the Zapdos. You can just hit into the Arceus and just hope that there isn't a Hyper Potion on the next turn. Although there are 2 double turbos there for Andrew, so it's highly likely that he knew he had a bunch of Hyper Potions left in deck. So it looks like we're just going to use the Mirage Gate now. I guess Grafton is no longer looking to use the Zapdos. It's entirely possible that the only fighting energy that was left in deck was that one that's on the Crabominable now. So it's a very odd situation for Grafton. I mean, you should be playing Energy Recycler in this deck if you're playing Mirage Gate. So you could hard retreat the Crabominable into Cramorant and just hit. And then wait for the Cramorant to go down, and then Energy Recycler Mirage Gate, and then be able to win the game off of your Zapdos. But maybe he doesn't play Energy Recycler. He's already used his Ordinary Rod, so maybe he doesn't have any other ways to recycle energies. So it feels like Andrew might win this game just off of Grafton's deck building. Which is utterly ridiculous in my opinion. Yeah, in all honesty, Andrew should lose this game, but it looks like Grafton isn't going to let that happen. So the Colress's Experiment comes down, just digs a few cards deeper there. You already have the Hyper Potion. I'd say just play it now, and he does. Make sure that Arceus is still fresh. The only way that Grafton can win on the next turn now is the Zapdos if he can somehow piece together a play with it. We are going to Ultra Ball, probably for the Duraludon VMAX, just to have more HP on your bench. And to have the better attack. Although, fun fact, the Duraludon V is metal, and the Crabominable is weak to metal. So if there is a Game 3, that could come up. Unlikely, but it could. We are also seeing the retreat into the Duraludon. We're going to take the knockout here. And we're going to have the thing with the most HP in the active. But Andrew still needs to take 2 more prize cards. So Grafton has 2 turns in order to win the game still right now. And tie it up. And there's only 6 minutes left, so there is not enough time for Game 3. It was so weird that I considered it unwinnable for Andrew, and then all of a sudden Grafton's just like, yeah, I don't play Energy Recycler, so I lose. Because we definitely didn't see it in his prize cards. I feel like if you're playing a Mirage Gate deck, you have to be playing 2 Ordinary Rods or 1 Rod, 1 Recycler. Or even 3 copies in some combination of them. But that's more for the Rayquaza build, because that thing burns through energy like crazy. I guess the Kyogre too. That deck is very small. It almost looks like 2 cards to me for Grafton right now. So I'm not even sure if there's anything that Grafton can dig into at this point that will allow him to win the game. He already has that Zapdos like I've been consistently talking about here. He has all the energy that was even left in his deck in his hand. Yeah, I think he's just playing it out because he feels like he has some way to win, but we have a Sableye, and it is a 1-card deck now. He can't even attach for turn because he just attached the Capture Energy. So maybe that's it. He whiffed the Sableye that he wanted to attack with. I guess he could have gone attack with Sableye, put all 12 onto the Arceus on the bench, and then just hope that there isn't a way. Yeah, and Andrew's like, yeah, you already attached. Grafton tried to cheat the second energy into play. And then he's like, yeah, no, I scoop. So yeah, that was that match. Very handedly won by Duraludon because of deck building. So, hope you guys enjoyed that, and we will see you in the next round for the next games that hopefully are a lot more interesting and less one-sided than this was. Oh boy.